Welcome back to BVarsity Live. Zach Ewing and Trevor Horn with you in the downtown Californian studios. We are just have a few minutes here to wrap things up for this week. We saw the U.S. Army All-Star Bowl last Friday. Trevor, I saw all of it. You saw part of it.
I saw the
came
game.
in after the Patriot games. And obviously an exciting game as usual. Brandon Jones threw 5 touchdown passes. Sheldon Croney was the MVP. The black team looked really good. Gold team had its moments too. Stavros Katsantonis had 3 picks in the second half. Could have been 4. He was called for pass interference on the 4th one. It was marred a little bit, though, by some injuries. Give us some updates on the guys who were hurt.
Brendan Medley is recovering well up in Lake Isabella, the Kern Valley senior. So he had surgery, successful surgery. That nasty break was a clean break. So they were able to put a pin in it and get it back together.
That was the one that made the whole crowd gasp.
And he'll be on crutches for a little while, but he's going to make a full recovery. He is going to gray shirt next season at BC as a football player, and then hopes to play in 2016. Really high spirits, showed a lot of resolve. And then I saw Cole Dewey yesterday in a wheelchair, full cast after breaking his leg also. That was a nasty one. He was trying to block for Stavros on his, I think, 3rd interception.
Yeah, and Centennial and
Lamicio Hill was and a big loss too. Was
Centennial
Cole.
Baseball loses Cole Dewey. He's a starting first baseman, so that does hurt the Golden Hawks, who are number 2
But he was out there yesterday,
right
next to the dugout, sitting there with his parents, cheering on his team as they beat Liberty yesterday, and they're 11-1 in league, but that's still going to be a big hit. It'll be interesting to see what happens to them.
It really hurts your depth more than anything.
It does, and it hurts your morale too when you have one of your senior leaders go down like that in a non-baseball environment.
That guy can still provide that leadership from the bench, but and I'm sure they have somebody capable playing first, but you lost that capable bat off the bench now, and it sort of affects you all the way down the line. I talked to Justin Roberts just a little bit, who's an assistant coach at Centennial yesterday, and it's not good. It hurts us, but you got to keep playing. I mean, you got to go through it. So,
and then Lamicio Hill was actually walking around with an ice bag on his ankle Friday night.
We think he probably just sprained it.
Yeah, he said it popped out, or he heard a pop.
Dislocated,
but he was walking around on it, unlike the 2 other guys who had to actually go straight to the hospital and came off on stretchers. So hopefully, hopefully a speedy recovery to both of those young gentlemen.
We wish all those guys, obviously, the best. And then let's see, we had tennis brackets come out, and tennis playoffs started a little bit yesterday and some today as well. Stockdale, the number 4 seed in Division 1.
Yep, and they host number 5 Buchanan today at 4 o'clock. Buchanan beat
That is
Clovis.
today.
That is.
That's next week, right?
No, they're playing next week. Sorry.
Yes.
So in the first round today, Liberty is hosting Central in D1. Frontier is on the road at Clovis East. Garces is at Visalia Redwood. In D2, West lost to LD Monte in the first round. That was a home match for West. They lost 5-4. Tehachapi has a first-round bye. They'll play next week. Over in D3, Independence hosting Madera today. Delano and Taft both have byes. And then today, North is at Ridgeview. That's the 10-7 in D3. D4, Wasco with the first-round bye. Foothill is at Selma. And then Arvin is at South. And then we have no locals in D5 in boys tennis.
All right. And just a quick golf update. Your league champions, Highland in the SEYL, Stockdale in the SWYL, Tyler Burns, the individual champ there. They move on to area. Now, area golf is Monday. It's a little weird the way it works. You have to be a league champion to make it in. And so Highland makes it in instead of Liberty or Centennial, the 2nd and 3rd place teams in the SWIL, which put up better scores all year long. But that's just the way it works. And then I have to apologize. I couldn't tell you who won the SYL. I'm thinking it's either Independence or Tehachapi.
We didn't get a call.
But that may be today actually. That final league meet for the SYL. Bringing Louis Amestoy here for the last couple of minutes. Louis, what were your impressions of the All-Star Bowl, the aftermath, the injuries? What's your big picture there?
It sucked the life out of me because the first broken leg was bad enough,
and then to have it happen again was sort of like getting up after getting knocked down and getting knocked down again.
What happened to Lamicio Hill?
Lamicio was walking around like I just said. He was actually walking around with an ice bag on it, kind of limping, but he didn't have to go to the hospital. There wasn't anything of that nature. So Lamicio's injury wasn't as bad as the other two. And like I said, Cole was actually at the Centennial baseball game yesterday in a wheelchair and the cast on. But
his injuries are pretty serious. I mean, he's got pretty serious injuries. And the bad thing for Centennial baseball is that they lose their first baseman. They're hot. Now they're going to have to deal without that. And that's one of those things where, you want them to play and they want them to make their own decisions, but at the same time, that could hurt Centennial's.
We just talked about that actually.
Championship run. So I don't know. The game is fun. I thought it was paced a little bit better than years past, but to see the magnitude of those injuries, and people were like, "Oh, it's the carpet." No,
it was none of these injuries were because of the carpet. Let's get that straight. And I think the kids and their parents realize that too.
Yeah.
The carpet is not in great shape. It sure as heck causes rug burn, as Stavros was in here to tell us last week. One of these days, somebody might get a foot caught up in one of those little bubbles or ripples in the carpet, but that's not what happened.
Yep.
I don't know that it really increases the risk that much over any other All-Star game.
These are kids
frankly.
that are going 100 miles an hour, and
now you do have a smaller space, so maybe the guys are flying faster at each other.
And it's not just that; it is going to be a little bit different than every other All-Star game because football is a much more heavy contact sport than volleyball, than baseball, softball, or basketball.
Sure. But I mean, there are football.
That's the nature of the sport of football.
And there are high school football all-star games all over the country.
I've covered so many of them in my career. I can't even begin to tell.
Right, and I don't know why this one would necessarily be singled out because you happen to have a terrible night where 3 kids got injured, 2 of them seriously.
It just was one of those things, It was one of those deals where you had 2 kids,
It just happens. It could happen in a regular season game. It could happen in a postseason game. It could happen in an All-Star game, and that's what happened. So that happened in the All-Star Bowl. I talked to Nick Ellis, the director of the bowl, briefly on Saturday, and he said full speed ahead. They're going to do it again next year. It's not something that is going to happen like that every year. So that's just what we have to hope. By the way, how cool was Morgan Hill? That was
did a good job.
That was absolutely ridiculous, in a good way.
I tried to sell her car off, by the way, to the kids from Centennial. They
wouldn't have it, huh?
The teacher or the coach said, obviously the teacher said I can't afford it.
They didn't have the cash on hand.
So one last thing before we go, check tomorrow's edition of the Bakersfield, California. We might have 2 Central Section records broken tonight. One of them, probably not going to say until it actually happens. The other one is Caitlin Emberson still going for the home run record, the senior up at Taft.
The career home run record.
Yeah, career home record. She's got 36. She's going for Rachel Metzger at Garcis's record of 37.
All right. Well, our guests today were Isaac Trevino and Morgan Hill, track and field. We had Trish McNew, Madison Oren, and Keely Egan from Centennial Softball. For Trevor Horn, our producers Chris McCullough and John Farron. I'm Zach Ewing. We'll see you next week on BVarsity Live.
Bye-bye.